Let's take a look at working with our chart data. I'm going to click on the tab that contains the chart for this automobile sales data sheet. I'll see that everything's already been plotted here on my chart or graph. And say I need to make some changes to the data. Let's take a look at how that works. Now this chart was already generated. I'm going to click back to sheet 1 with our data sheet. I'm just going to show you how these items are linked together. And I'm just going to go ahead and highlight and delete out the data for October through December. Okay. Now I'm going to click back over to the chart, and now we see that those data points are gone. If I were to go back and put those data points back in again, they would reflect on the graph or on the chart. So let me undo that. I click back over, and there's my data again. Now if when I went to create the chart I had selected a range that contained, in this instance, months of the year for which there was no data, as soon as those data points were plugged in, they would then appear on my chart. Likewise, if I come back to the data table here and make changes to any of the values or any corrections that are needed, those changes will reflect as well on our graph. Say for example we realize this low point here for our Cleveland, Ohio dealership. Let's say that this was an error and it really wasn't 7 but it was 17 automobiles were sold. And that was the month of October. So let me come back to my sheet 1 and October right here. Maybe it was 17. I make that change here in my data sheet. I click on the chart tab and I see that that data point has adjusted itself to reflect the change. So the chart is linked in with the data sheet that it originates from. Alright, let me go ahead and undo that and bring it back to where it was before. Now say we actually already had this data sheet linked with a chart as we do here, and I realized there's another city or another dealership that we would like to include. I'm going to go ahead and insert that in column G, put the name of the city. In this case it'll be Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I'm going to go ahead and put in my data points. And 20. Okay, if I want to, I can use the fill handle to roll the formula over so I have a total there going down. If I want to apply the border style formatting, I can go ahead and use my borders icon here to choose all borders. Okay, and that is included in the totals column on the right. Okay, now I come back to my chart here and I see, well, I still have the original 5 automobile dealerships here. How do I get that new dealership, the Albuquerque one, included in my chart without having to start over again from scratch and recreate the chart? Well, this is very simple. You can right click anywhere on a chart. You then look for the option for select data. This is the data that the chart is pulling into itself, that it's displaying visually for you. I'm clicking on select data. It then gives me the select data source dialog here. And it's showing me all the series here on the left side, and you can manually add, edit, or remove these, as well as the horizontal labels, which are the months of the year. You also have the option to edit those there. But as you notice, when this dialog comes up on the screen, it's showing me my selected range that it's displaying or depicting within the chart. Notice that column G, my newly added column, is not within that range. What I can do is I can click the little icon at the far right of that field there. I can then manually select and drag to include the new column that I've added. Now we're not going to include any of the totals because that will display kind of strangely on the chart. We just want to include the raw numbers, not the totals. Okay, now I'm going to hit enter and I'm going to say OK. Now I've got my new, that just appeared, the new orange data series, which reflects on my legend that those are the numbers for Albuquerque, New Mexico. That's simply how you do that, how you add or verify your data source. You right-click anywhere on a chart, you click on your select data, and that will tell you where it's pulling the data from. Now notice on a chart, if you right-click in different areas, you get different menus. Because in some cases you might right-click on, in this case I just right-clicked on a data series. So I have different options pertaining to what I'd like to do with exactly what I right-clicked on. But nonetheless, I still have the object to select data. If I click here in the edge here, I get more options in my drop-down dialog, but I still have the option to select data.